Hello everybody, AJ Ryzik here, and today we're taking a look at OpenSuse Leap 42.1. Now before we go any further, let me just throw this out there. I have heard this pronounced as both OpenSuse and OpenSUSE. For years I have heard it pronounced both ways, so I'm just going to call it OpenSUSE. If that is not the correct way to say it, sorry, but you know what? If this is the wrong way to say it, there's a lot of people that are mispronouncing. Anyway, um, now that we got that out of the way, probably the next thing you're wondering, why is it in August of 2016 I am reviewing a distribution that was released in November of 2015, roughly 9 months later? Well, there's a couple reasons for it. One, I haven't reviewed this before, so might as well review it. Two, it is the new distribution on my daily driver, my main desktop. So it's here. I might as well go ahead and review it and talk a little bit about it. So kind of backing up and a little bit of history as to why it is the new distro for my main desktop. First time I installed an OpenSUSE distribution was 5, maybe 6 years ago, and installation went fine, but no internet connection. I could not connect wired. I could not connect wirelessly. I searched online forums and message boards trying to find a solution. Could not find a solution. So I swore off OpenSUSE, said I'll never touch it again, and moved on from there. Fast forward to a couple weeks ago, and I tried out KDE Neon. Was not happy. Lots of crashes, very buggy. And I've heard from other people that have said, KDE Neon is great. It runs great on their system, and that may be true. All I can say is that on my desktop computer, it was junk. It was extremely slow, very buggy, lots of crashes. So I started asking around on Google Plus, hey, what is a good KDE distro? Very stable. And everybody knows, hey, if you want stability, go to Debian stable. Very stable. It's like, yeah, very stable and very ancient packages. Um, I don't have to, for my main desktop, I don't have to have the latest and greatest. What I do need is do need it to be stable. I cannot have it crashing while I'm trying to get some work done. So there's a lot of people that were saying go with Arch, and I totally agree. I've done KDE on Arch, awesome. Um, but Arch is very time consuming for setting up, and that's not a hit against it. It's just not a ready to go distribution. And personally, I like going through doing the setup and all that. Um, but I was kind of looking for something that I hadn't done before. And there were a lot of people that were saying, hey, try, if you're really wanting a good KDE experience, go with OpenSUSE Leap. So I installed it, and I've got to say, couldn't be happier. It has been very stable. The problems I've run into have been very minor, and it's either stuff that I could fix myself, or stuff that it's just an inherent known bug that is in KDE. So it's not like the OpenSUSE team could do anything about it. And I'll kind of talk about those later on as we get through the review. So now that I've gotten done with that big, huge, long backstory, let's get started with the review. So what is OpenSUSE Leap? Well, essentially last year, OpenSUSE changed its method for releasing its distributions. Previously, there was a new distribution that was released, roughly every 9 months. What they changed to is we now have OpenSUSE Leap, which is, you can think of it as their long-term support release, very stable. Then there is also OpenSUSE Tumbleweed, which is the latest packages. Obviously, you're getting newer stuff, but at the same time, not quite so stable. And talking to a lot of people online, there's been a lot of people that told me that that tumbleweed is very stable as well. Don't know yet. Haven't tried that one out. I can tell you, from the past couple of weeks of running Leap, Leap is extremely stable. That being said, let me go and right here I've got the uh, Leap portal open and talks a little bit about it. It says OpenSuse Leap is a brand new way of building OpenSuse and is a new type of hybrid Linux distribution. Leap uses sources from SUSE Linux Enterprise, which gives Leap a level of stability unmatched by other Linux distributions and combines that with community development to give users, developers, and sysadmins the best stable Linux experience available. So the SUSE Linux Enterprise, which is I guess you can consider it the commercial version of SUSE, it is now the upstream for OpenSUSE Leap. So, all these packages have already been tested and whatnot for and deemed to be good enough for enterprise use, and then it comes downstream to OpenSUSE Leap. Now, uh, kind of continuing down with what they said here, first release of Leap was November 4th, 2015 with 42.1, and Leap will have minor releases and users are expected to upgrade to the latest minor release within 6 months of its availability, leading to a life cycle of 18 months of maintenance and security updates per minor release. The 42 series of Leap is expected to achieve an estimated of 36 months of maintenance and security updates. So essentially, you get 3 years of life out of each version of Leap. So you're not quite to the length of support as the Ubuntu LTSs, which are 5 years, but 3 years, that's a pretty good long life. Installation went down without a hitch. Um, there were no issues, crashes, anything like that, but there are a few things that I want to point out. First of all, there is not a live media. There is an installation media, so that you can install this, but you cannot boot into a live environment and play around before deciding that you will install this. Um, so there's that issue. I don't know if you want to call it an issue, but it's just something to be aware of. And then second of all, the installation process, while easy to do, um, it takes a long time. I'm used to, say, on Ubuntu distribution, or even like Manjaro, you're probably looking at around 10 minutes, maybe 15 at the max to do the installation. Uh, with this installation, you're looking at a half hour, probably longer. Um, I didn't sit here with a stopwatch, but just general amount of time that it took, you're looking at least a half hour to install. Since you're not going to be doing this all that often, probably not a big deal, but it's just something that I want to point out. While I'm on the subject of installation, I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm going to do a video showing how to do the installation of OpenSUSE Leap. Um, I'll run it in VirtualBox just so that everyone can see the installation process. Like I said, it's easy, and it's well laid out. Pretty self-explanatory, but I just figured I'd do a video and show everybody how to do the installation. So what you're seeing here is the default look of OpenSUSE Leap, and I'm just going to walk through it real quick here. We've got a desktop folder here that has both the home and trash folders displayed, and then we have a single panel across the bottom, and for our menu over here on the left hand side, they have the more compact version of the menu set up. Of course, you can go and switch to whatever menu you want. And then we have a workspace switcher, so you can switch between your various virtual desktops. And then we've got all of our open programs right here. And then coming over to the right hand side, we've got our clipboard manager, uh, our device manager. This little indicator is for simple screen recorder, our audio volume. If you click the little up button, it'll show all the hidden icons, stuff that maybe you don't really need all the time or whatever. I've got in there the updates, the HP service status, the printers, Bluetooth, battery and brightness, notifications. Um, to me, that's all stuff that I don't need to see all the time, so I might as well keep it hidden. So we got all that stuff. Next to that, we've got our date/time, and that's essentially it. I mean, it's a fairly basic layout, but I think it covers all the bases. As far as the desktop itself goes, if we come in here to desktop settings, you can see they've got a fair number of different wallpapers available. So pick one that you really like. They're really nice looking ones. I think I'll take it back to the default. And of course, you can go and add new wallpapers, or use some of your home photos, that sort of thing, for your wallpapers, however you want to do that. Stability is a major focus of this distribution. However, unlike Debian, where it seems like the packages have been hanging out there since the dawn of time, you do have packages that, while they are not the most recent, they are fairly recent, say released within the past year or so. They've been around long enough that they are well tested, but definitely not old packages. So just kind of looking at what we got here, over here in our system settings. Let's see, pull up about, we're running KDE version 5.5.5. KDE Framework 5.21 built against Qt 5.5. So, like I said, not the most recent, but not old packages. And kind of as I've been going through the various pieces of software that are installed here, it's kind of the same theme. You don't have the latest, but they're not old packages. Let me pull up LibreOffice. Take a look there. And here in LibreOffice, let's pull up the about. LibreOffice is version 5.132. Once again, definitely not an old package, but not the most recent. But recent enough that you're fairly on top of things. And same thing with all the KDE apps, and pretty much everything that I've found here. So while we're on the subject of software and packages, that sort of thing, let's take a look at package management here. And what they have is called YAST. And let me put in my password. And here we are. Essentially, you have one-stop shopping for all of your software needs. Okay, so once you open it up, you've got all these different options here: software, hardware, system, network, service, security, and users. All this good stuff here. And you want to add software. You come down here to software management, click on that, and give it a second to update the cache. And then boom, here you are. You can start searching for packages. I know I already have it installed, but let's just look for the GIMP, click search, and boom, it gives you a list of everything that's available. If you want to add something, you just come down here to, I don't know, let's the GIMP animation package. Right click it, go install, and then click accept. It'll show you what changes it's going to make. Continue, and boom, it does the installation. Nice and easy to work with. Click continue, and you can come back and add other packages, and you can go and select tons and tons of packages to install. There's no crashes, no glitches. Everything just works the way it should. So as far as installing software, Awesome. And then you want to add some repositories, or at least take a look at the repositories that you've got set up. Boom, here you go. Once again, give it a second to kind of update the list, and you can see what I have in the repositories that are installed, what are enabled, all that kind of stuff. Now, while we're on the subject of software, let's talk a little bit about the repositories and all that. The default repositories, um, the variety of software available is not as extensive as, say, in the Ubuntu repositories. Definitely not as extensive. However, there are community repositories available. There's also the OpenSuse build service, which I'll talk about in a minute. Once you add all that in, and pretty much anything that you'd want to install here, you're going to find a way to install. Um, I had a couple packages where I thought that because I didn't find them in the default repositories, I thought I was going to have to compile from source. Nope. Managed to find them either in a community repository or in the build service. The OpenSuse build service is one of the great features that you have available not only with this distribution but with all of the SUSE distributions. Essentially what it is a way for members of the community to go and build packages for whether it's Leap or Tumbleweed or any of the SUSE distributions. You can go and build a package and make it available for other members of the community, because while most of the time building a package from source isn't difficult, it is very time consuming. Sometimes it is difficult to, trying to find the dependencies and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, you make it allows those packages to be made available to the community, stuff that wasn't included in the official repositories. So just as an example, one of the things that I added that came from the build service is KSuperKey. It's not included in the default repositories. And if you're not familiar with KSuperKey, basically allows you to set the super/Windows key as a keyboard shortcut. Normally in Linux, the Windows key, it is a modifier for keyboard shortcuts. So like say you wanted to set it up to open your menus, you would have to set it as, oh, I don't know, the Windows key plus X, or maybe the Windows key plus Z, whatever you want to set it up, but it couldn't be used independently. Well, this little piece of software here allows you to do that. But like I said, it wasn't included in the official repositories. However, I did find it here in the build service, and kind of looking over here, you can see the build results, and yes, it was successful for not only Leap but other versions of OpenSUSE. So it was just a simple matter of going to download packages and then picking OpenSUSE Leap, and essentially just follow the instructions there. It would open up Yast and install. Boom, right, everything worked out great. And there's been a couple things that I've downloaded and installed that way, and like I said, everything has worked great with that. For those of you running AMD cards and have been pretty bummed out that Ubuntu 16.04 no longer supports Catalyst, you'll be happy to know that the Catalyst drivers are available here, and it is extremely easy to install. I'm actually putting together a video demonstrating how to install it. Like I said, very easy to do. So you'll be able to get that performance that you just can't get from the Radeon drivers. I've had people that have told me, not only on through YouTube comments but also on Google Plus, that the Radeon driver is great and they get just as good, if not better, performance than Catalyst. And all I can say is that my particular card on my desktop, the exact opposite is true. The performance of Radeon is bad. I've tried and I've tried tweaking it with the various settings and whatnot, and while I have been able to improve the performance, it still is nowhere near where Catalyst is. And that's nothing bad against the developers of the Radeon drivers. Basically reverse engineering a piece of software that's not that's not an easy thing to do. Um, so they've done a good job, but at the same time, the performance, at least from what I have seen, it is nowhere near where the proprietary drivers are. Issues and problems have been extremely minor. First one that I've issue that I've run into has been dual monitor support. And what happens is I'll boot into my desktop, and while both monitors are detected, the plasma only draws a desktop on one of my two monitors. Now, this is a KDE, not only a KDE issue, it's even more upstream than that. It actually goes back to QT, so all the way back to that source. But to as a kind of a workaround, you can actually log out of your system and log back in. Everything's fine, and it doesn't always happen. It's, I don't know, maybe 50% of the time. It's one of those minor annoyance things. And from what I've been reading, the situation has been improved in newer versions of KDE, but it is still there. So, it's one of those things that if you're going to use KDE and multiple monitors, something that you're going to have to deal with every now and then. The other annoyance that I've run into has to do with the menus. And, maybe it's just a personal preference kind of thing, but essentially it looks like on some of the applications and settings here, they've been renamed in the menu, quite possibly to make things more new user friendly. However, to somebody like me who's been playing around with both Linux and KDE for a long time, it kind of gets in the way. And here's what I mean. Let me go to system settings. So let me type in system settings. Okay, it doesn't show up. And the reason why is because it has been renamed. I think desktop. Yeah, configure desktop. Okay, it's called system settings. Now, like I said, probably the reason it has been renamed is to make it more friendly for new users. Except this gets in the way of me, who knows what it's called. Um, I like I said, I don't know who decided that was a good idea, but it's been an irritation of mine ever since I installed the distribution, just because I'm looking for system settings and it doesn't pop up. So now it's an easy fix. You can come in here to application menu settings. Oop, that's not the one I want. It's sorry, it is edit applications, and we can come down, and actually I'm going to do that right now. Go to configure desktop. I'm going to rename it. System settings. Put the same thing in here. Save it. Alright, so now if I could spell, there it is. Like I said, I probably the reason it was renamed was for new users, but it's an irritation for me. Other than those minor things, though, everything here has worked. Everything has been a great experience. So, I really can't complain. I have had no crashes at all. Nothing has crashed. And I've been running Kdenlive, been running LibreOffice, tons of different applications. There have been no crashes anywhere. So from a stability standpoint, this is rock solid. So if you want a system that you're just going to be able to sit down and get some work done, this is definitely a distribution to work with. And if you're not a KDE kind of person, that's all right. When you're doing the installation, you can install the Gnome desktop. There's also XFCE. You can do a minimal installation and then install whatever desktop that you want. I mean, there's lots of options there. So this is definitely a good desktop for stability. So having said all that, that just about finishes this video up. I will say that there's going to be some follow-up videos to this one showing you how to do various things as far as installing software, configuration, all that kind of stuff, how I set up my desktop, all that good stuff. So definitely check those out when they become available. So if you have any comments, questions, all that kind of stuff, leave it down below. I try to get to it as soon as I can. And if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Get all your friends to subscribe. The more the merrier. And I hope to see you all on my next video. Thanks a lot.